Hello, and you're listening to the Tiny Vet Podcast with me, Dr. Nicole Sue, and my fiance.
Comedian Jez Watts. Our good friend, comedian Glenn Grimwood, recently was taken by the eponymous Tiny Vet herself to ride a horse for the first time in his life. And while he enjoyed it, he was painfully aware that if at any point Nicole had let go of her horse Rocky and Rocky had decided to murder him, he would be, in his words, dead, dead, dead. And that's why when she said, hey, do you want to try a trot? He said, no, please never let go. I want to live.
You make it sound like I kidnapped him and forced him to ride a horse.
He told me last night.
I didn't. He came of his own free will.
And he also was terrified of his own free death to possibly happen.
I didn't force him onto the horse.
No, but he really, last night, he was telling me, he's just like, I was just like, if this horse rolls, I'm gone.
He came back very uninjured.
He did. He actually very much
FYI.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
He said it was great. He also said he understood how fragile human life is now. And he probably won't ride a horse again.
Stupid human bodies.
What are we talking about today, my love?
So actually the one part of the horse anatomy that's probably worse than the human part, and it's their feet.
Okay.
So there is a kind of a growing divide between the mindset of shoeing horses with the more traditional metal or metal alloy shoes.
Yep.
To the traditional horseshoe, or having them barefoot.
Oh, right. I thought, I thought it would, I didn't realize there was any divide, but,
Yeah, it's a bit of a, and...
does it kind of depend on, like, what kind of work they normally do?
Oh my God, absolutely. And that's what this is about.
Yeah, I was right about something, listeners. It can happen to you, too.
What, so one time in, 35 episodes?
Yeah, listen, whatever, man. Don't rain on my little parade.
And that's absolutely, there's no pure truth for all horses. It depends on what works well for your horse and what their purpose is.
Yep.
So, for example, my horse, Rocky, he's barefoot because he has been blessed with incredibly hard feet and also an incredibly hard head. His feet are amazing. He's never been lame a day in his life.
Yep.
And he's not shod.
Right.
And that has nothing to do with, me doing whatever weird stuff. It's just his genetics.
Yeah, sure.
He's a standard bred. Standard breds are known for having good feet. He has particularly good feet for a standard bred.
And that's to do with muscle, but also maybe like his keratin is good. And all that kind of
it's
stuff,
his hoof growth. He has very big hoofs as well for his size. He's not a big horse. He's 15'1", 15'2" hands. And
Glenn did say he felt very tall when he was on
He's
there.
not a big horse.
But yeah.
He's quite a little horse.
It's just unnatural to be on a horse, I think.
Hey. Brr. Brr. But yeah, he's also got big feet for his size, which helps. There's a lot of thoroughbreds. They have got all that concentrated muscle mass up the top, and they have tiny feet.
Right? Distributed weight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I do have hoof boots for him.
Hoof boots?
They're little
like booties?
Yeah, they're little booties. I put in his precious little feet. He's very cute in them.
Uh-huh.
But that's because the trails around where I ride, there's some areas where it's very, very stony.
Yeah, okay.
And that's a precaution, and also so then I can ride him a bit faster over that kind of terrain. But pretty much he's barefoot. Never had a problem even in the wet months with it. He's never had a hoof infection or anything. And I know I'm just lucky, and he just has good feet.
Yep.
Because I've known other standardbreds with dreadful feet, and they have had shoes, and they needed shoes. Because they just didn't have good feet.
Is there a drawback to being shod?
Oh, it's very expensive.
That's the big thing?
Oh my God, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
So it cost me $60 every 6 weeks to get Rocky trimmed. So that's for the farrier to come out. He looks at his feet, he trims off the excess, he reshapes it to the optimal hoof shape.
Right.
And that's it.
Okay.
To get a set of shoes, it is $150 every 6 weeks. Or might be more than that. Depends
How does
on what
anyone
kind of
own
shoe.
horses?
It's insane. It's so expensive. And the hoof boots, it's $150 for a pair of hoof boots that so far have lasted me almost a year. Like, I'm so lucky. Oh my God, I'm so lucky. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, horses that need shoes, there are some horses that need to be shod that will never, ever, ever go barefoot.
Yeah.
Just because their feet are that bad.
Right.
Now, the people that go, oh, barefoot's fantastic, and look, it is a good way. It's because it's so there are some horses that need shoes and they're not going to get away from them.
Right.
They're always going to need to be shod, and that's just unfortunately how the quality of their hoof growth and their conformation and everything. Now, there are definitely people that will say, oh, but if you go barefoot, their feet will get better. Potentially, they'll get better some. Are they going to get better enough that he can fulfill his purpose without shoes? Maybe not.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a really individual thing. And there are people that go, oh, shoes are unnatural. They don't allow the hoof to flex and all that. And yeah, look, there's probably truth in that. Probably, flexing of the hoof capsule and all that probably does serve some sort of role in hoof growth. But it doesn't matter if you get a 5% increase in function with that, if you then have to go through a negative 20% decrease because they're too lame to do anything without shoes.
Yeah, right.
So it's very much an individual horse thing. And what they're used for is also for a lot of eventers. These are horses that go across country. And it's not in an arena, it's grass.
Yep.
They have what we call stud holes in their shoes. So you can screw in little studs for traction.
Okay.
On that. Now, I think you can get hoof boots with studs now, but they're probably not as grippy as those. So there are some horses and with their jobs, they just need to have shoes.
Yeah, right.
And there are some horses, for example, where their conformation's not very good, where they need to have shoes so that it can provide that support.
Yeah, it's sort of like a genetic abnormality.
Yeah, so it's like, the sole inserts that we have or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
And, you have to remember, horses are always on their feet.
Yeah.
So there are some horses that are never going to get with them shoes.
Horses can lay down, though, right?
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
They can lie flat
but they
as well.
Mostly don't.
Horses will probably only sleep for about 4 to 6 hours a day.
But they sleep on their feet or no?
They sleep on their feet.
Yeah.
And maybe up to an hour of that might be lying down sleep, but not even that usually.
Yeah. Mostly they just lie down because they have a comedian on their back and they want to crush his spine.
No. They actually have a very interesting thing called the suspensory apparatus, and that allows them to stand without utilizing any muscle power.
Oh,
it's a system of ligaments.
I thought it'd be like a big horse swing.
Horse hammock.
Yeah, like you put it under their belly and then they wee, and it's a suspensory apparatus.
Kind of, yeah. But so they can stand actually without using any muscle power.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why they can sleep standing up.
Yeah, sick. Okay.
But the old saying is also very true: no hoof, no horse.
Yeah, all right.
It's so true.
Yeah, sure.
Because if your horse is lame, you can't do anything with them because they can't walk properly.
Yeah.
And I think that really what is best for your horse in particular with what you're doing and your weather conditions. Is it really dry? Where you are, if so the hoof has become more brittle, is it really wet? And that should really ultimately determine what you're going to do with your horse's feet.
Yeah. I've also heard that saying, no depression and chronic stress, no vet.
Yeah. That's not wrong.
This wasn't as funny as I thought it would be.
Oh, man.
More just a sad fact.
Oh, man.
Anyway, get shoes, maybe.
The Tiny Vet podcast is brought to you by Upilio. Sources for our topics can be found at upilio.io. Outro music by Matt Charleston.